Gentlemen and female gentlemen, welcome to the biggest aura farmers in anime. You've heard of the biggest flexes in anime. You've heard of the most disrespectful moments in anime. But we are topping all of that on this day, when we have anime characters farming undeniable amounts of aura. Someone is gonna need to sit their cheeks to the chair and overanalyze them. We are so back to the golden age of anime content, baby. For those of you uninitiated, aura farming is the art of looking tough, badass, cool, and awesome, even when there is absolutely zero obligation to do so. So today, we are going to talk about probably some of the greatest moments in the history of anime. Anime that make you just look at a protagonist or a character and just be like, holy balls, this man is farming so much aura right now. 10,000 likes and we will make this a franchise on the channel. We are so back. First farmer. I feel like there is no better way to start off the biggest aura farmers in anime franchise by talking about anyone other than the undisputed aura farming GOAT, Jin Woo from Solo Leveling. This man had just the right amount of aura farming and popularity to absolutely just bring aura farming to an absolute zenith in the anime community. Now, he is not the biggest aura farmer in this video, much to all of your surprise probably, but without a shadow of a doubt, see what I did there? This dude absolutely slays. God himself has designed the perfect possibility to farm aura with this absolute mad lad. So it all started off with Jin Woo being an absolute nobody. He's E-class. He's the lowest class hero. He's known as the weakest hunter. Man is an absolute piece of dog shit that you wipe him off the floor with a toilet paper. That's how pathetic this man is. His most notable trait is the ability to get absolutely butt-fucked by anything that moves in any dungeon, no matter where they are. This dude is an absolute ass, and the world knew it. He was so legendary as a generational loser that no one even anticipated anything other than the absolute bottom of the barrel from this complete fraud of a hunter. And that is what gave him the perfect position to farm the utmost amount of aura possible. You have to recognize the art of farming aura is more than just a multifaceted hydra. Aura can be farmed by being a complete badass doing things that are, unreasonably cool, but also it can be farmed by being someone that everyone looks down at and then purposefully flex even harder on them than you have any right to need to do. Jin Woo develops the system thing, or whatever. He becomes the Shadow Monarch, absolute GOAT. He solo levels, and he becomes incredibly broken and overpowered through the course of the show, to the point that the basic plot and premise of the entire Solo Leveling is taking this dude and making him the most absolutely badass motherfucker on the face of the planet. Aside from rizzing anything with a vagina, he also becomes the daddy of any opponent he possibly can find. He will murder them, he will lobotomize them, and he will then resurrect them in that order to become his mindless puppet, slave, servant, monster shadow creature. Now, all these are really good as flexes, but as far as aura specifically, he will enter a dungeon with like an entire squad and everyone's like, oh my god, we're gonna carry, don't worry, random E-class toothpaste, you're just sit in the background and floss your own anus or whatever you do. We will deal with the monsters, you're literally here just to keep a quota. He's secretly the most overpowered guy in the history of time. Now, this squad will end up in a dungeon and shit'll hit the fan because somehow God has designed shit to hit the fan in the presence of Jin Woo. They'll enter a gate and it'll become a red gate and they'll be trapped there and they'll be picked off one by one by these armies of psychopathic rapist elves. Or, they'll walk into a gate and suspiciously 8 people of the freaking hunter group turns on the other 2 people and wants to kill them so they can get an extra 12% of the fucking bounty. Which is like a really stupid strategy, but it doesn't even matter. I'm telling you, God has designed everything to go wrong when it comes to these guys. He could team up with like a squad full of A-rank guys entering a dungeon where he's just gonna be the pack rat guy with the big backpack, and suddenly everything will go wrong, and there is this high orc mage wizard guy who's overpowered as fuck, who absolutely ragdolls his opponents and throws around the A-ranks like Kadabra's throwing Pikachu around in early Pokemon. If something can go wrong, it will go wrong with Jin Woo around, and the most ironic part is, even though ultimately every single time Jin Woo is gonna need to be the guy that saves the squad, Jin Woo tries his absolute best to farm as much aura as possible while doing so. They'll all be fighting for their life, and he'll just be sitting there in the background being like, yes, I could stop everyone here, but I don't want to reveal my identity. I'm just an E rank. I don't want people to know. And he'll just casually stand there in the background using his fucking telekinetic ghost hands to butt fuck all the opponents he possibly can, while all of his allies are getting ravaged everywhere. And he just looks as cool as possible, taking literally every single W he can, and all the A ranks around him don't know what's actually going on, so they have to discuss with each other, I don't know, our enemy's movement seemed slower for some reason, but I couldn't figure out why. Meanwhile, it's because somehow Jin Woo is moving faster than the eyesight of the A-rank people around him to slow them down so that they can take W's, and he could just sit there in the back farming all the aura for the unknowing, fourth wall breaking me watching that fucking shit go down. The fact that this dude will walk around like he owns the world while simultaneously everyone looking down at him, and him doing everything while looking as cool and nonchalant as possible, is mind-blowing. He will always go up against an enemy army and they'll all give him the whole speech of how there's 1,000,000 of us and only one of you, before he summons his lobotomized shadow army to absolutely overwhelm and destroy his opponents. His uncanny levels of calmness and absolute oppressive fighting style without him ever breaking a sweat, just to literally have every person around him on the floor in awe of how much aura this man has farmed. And I think most importantly, and this is an underrated aspect of aura farming, this guy, who's basically unknown to everyone on the planet, he will just walk up to random S-rank hunters. They'll all say, listen, Mr. Jin Woo, please take your pants down so I can begin to glaze. And he will not even respond to them when they ask him to join their guild, the highest of honor. He will just walk past them without even acknowledging their existence. Absolutely made it pivotal for Jin Woo to be the first person I talk about in the biggest aura farmers in anime. Next, farmer. So we talked about the zenith of aura farming and the reason why this became an entire goddamn discussion point in regards to anime. And I think now we have to discuss, in my opinion, the first aura farmer for so many people, Piccolo from Dragon Ball. Before even getting into any specifics whatsoever, I think the main reason why Piccolo is an absolute aura farmer and why it's so important to mention him as possibly the entire pathway paved for this genre of badass is the fact that this dude is wearing a cape that weighs a fuck billion amount of pounds. It's all for training, and he's wearing this goddamn cape that weighs a fuck ton, metric fuck ton of shit. You always see him standing on the top of some mountain somewhere with his cape billowing in the wind. There isn't wind, okay? No one's hair, and there's a lot of hair in Dragon Ball, no one's hair is billowing, but this motherfucker is standing on a mountain, alright? And his cape is billowing, and his cape weighs like 1,000 pounds with his freaking turban, alright? And he'll just stand there with his cape billowing and his arms crossed and his feet together, farming aura unnecessarily before any fight literally ever. He'll then slowly take the time to remove his weighted cape and turban and throw them against the ground. It's a ridiculous flex, and he does it so slowly and deliberately. Like, he'll slowly take it off, it'll slowly hit the ground with a thud. Everyone will be like, oh, that shit had a lot of weight to it. Spoilers for Rock Lee in a future episode of Biggest Aura Farmers in Anime. And he will stand there deliberately and slowly with this let's get it over attitude, farming aura before the fight ever starts. This is how Piccolo enters every single scene he's in, and it is so important to recognize that this alone would have qualified him to be on this goddamn list. But also, because it's Dragon Ball, and the ultimate winner of every single arc is always gonna be fucking Goku, and Piccolo will always be that guy that was kinda helpful, but definitely took an L like every single freaking time. All right, listen, Piccolo, I don't make the rules. That's just how it is. He always does it with so much crazy stoicism. When he sacrifices himself for Gohan in the Saiyan saga, bro takes Nappa's blast. He's fighting a Saiyan, all right? The Saiyans are crazy warrior guys, all right? The warrior Saiyan dude cooks him, all right? That's crazy. And what does he do? He does like the gravelly voiced, heartfelt farewell, you know, giving the unbelievable coolness that comes along with literally facing death. Dude doesn't scream when he gets cooked. Bro doesn't yell or cry or say, I'm sorry I couldn't do more. just quiet dignity, gravelly fucking throat fuckable voice, and he'll just sit there and he'll look at you and be like, you will become the hero that Gotham deserves. And whenever he is actually winning a fight, he does the same exact thing. When he fights against Frieza on Namek, he of course gets his obligatory Dragon Ball power-up. He's fighting with Frieza, and he's not just fighting with Frieza, he is playing with Frieza. Now remember, Frieza's the guy that blew up the Saiyans, alright? This dude is a mass genocide. This dude is Space Capone Hitler, okay? An unbelievable, unrelenting galactic tyrant that not only massacred all of his fucking people on Namek, but has eviscerated countless species from existence. Dog, he invented racial slurs for species that we still talk about to this day. And not only does Piccolo fight this guy, of course, before he gets into his next form and you know, outclasses Piccolo, but he plays with him. He's like smirking and he's calm and he's just kind of like coolly darting back to back, side to side, still wearing his fucking cape. He's wearing his stupid cape that's weighted. Like, come on, man. Why are you not taking this seriously? You were going up against Space Capone Hitler. For real, for real. This man's a monster. But honestly, there are some things more important than putting a tyrant in their place and taking them out swiftly. And that is farming just the right amount of aura. I like to think of this as psychological warfare against Space Hitler, okay? And honestly, my boy Piccolo, he deserves the love and respect for doing it the way he did. Now, more and more examples of this can be stated, but no matter every single time that somehow there is some sort of interplanetary threat, Earth is gonna blow up, a species is gonna get wiped out, Piccolo will be there on the top of the highest possible fucking point on the goddamn setting, in the distance with his legs together, his arm crossed, and his cape billowing as he looks down with complete composure at the situation before promptly getting manhandled so Goku could save the day a little bit later. And I just think that's pretty fucking awesome and badass, and dude farms an unrelenting amount of aura, despite the fact that he never actually takes down a big bad guy literally ever. Thank you so much for coming to my TED Talk. Next farmer! I feel like there's some undeniable aura farming goats, and we're gonna have to talk about a lot of them in the very first episode of the biggest aura farmers in anime, in case we don't hit the the like goal of 10,000 likes, and then sequel to this video never comes. So, we're gonna have to talk about Satoru Gojo from fucking Jujutsu Kaisen, because that dude's fucking bonkers. Gojo Satoru is an aura farming machine. Now, the dude is a little busted. Like, he has the arsenal of powers to literally flex on anyone that he possibly can at any point. No attacks could touch him. He's invincible. He's basically immortal. He can create an infinite void that just traps people in their own mind for eternity. Dude's bonkers broken, and he has every right to farm as much aura as he can because he literally is stoic and, you know, unnecessarily calm, because the fuck you gonna do to this guy? Like, bro alone is the honored one. Like, he actually is. He didn't need to make that statement in his fight. Like, when you're up against somebody else and they just, like, float above you and say, I alone am the honored one, like, that is taking aura farming to another level. Like, that is biblical levels of narcissism, and he deserves every ounce of it. Now, to explain how much aura this man farms, we have to talk about the context of the world before this guy even shows up. In Jujutsu Kaisen, you have all these curses, these demon creatures. They come out, they murder people. They're all incredibly dangerous. Every single one of them is a fucking metric ton of problems. They could drop meteors on your goddamn planet, and they could morph humans into these creepy chimera shits that would make Full Metal Alchemist fans creep out. Like, every single one of these guys is a catastrophic, world-ending level threat, and Gojo Satoru alone is, for lack of better terms, the honored one. The crazy thing about Gojo is they don't at all downplay how much aura this man farms, ever. Literally ever. The entire first season of Jujutsu Kaisen essentially boils down to bad guy is fighting good guys are fucked up, they have no chance of winning. What's the goal? What do? We hold out as long as we can until Gojo finds out this shit is going down. He shows up and he wins the fight. That becomes the win con for basically the good guys in every single fight in the entirety of Jujutsu Kaisen's first 25 episodes and bleeding into season 2 as well. Understanding this alone makes everything that Gojo does farm aura. Because how does this dude have time to watch a movie and chill out and make jokes and flirt with women and just dance around the goddamn screen like he owns the world when literally around the planet you have people in life and death scenarios praying and hoping that they can hold out long enough for Gojo to show up. That's fucking crazy. When you put it into that perspective, you recognize that every moment that this dude is just casually sitting there smiling, he is currently farming aura as we speak. Because this is between being the literal Deus Ex Machina card that every single good guy uses to fight cursed spirits around the globe. The globe of Japan. I don't know, Japan is the epicenter for this shit all the time. It's probably a coincidence. So just putting that into perspective, when you realize that every single fight scene in the constraints of Jujutsu Kaisen is a race against the clock, could the bad guy beat the good guys before Gojo shows up, you recognize that he is farming aura the entire time, even when he is not on screen. Every battle, every fight, winds down to Gojo farming aura until he actually shows up to kick some ass. Now, that would not have made me put him on the list on the first video specifically. The reason why he's here in this video specifically is very simple. It's his fight with Jogo in season 1. I don't want to spoil any like crazy manga events that goes down later. You know, bro. Once you get to the point of fighting gods, like you are farming aura, and we respect that. But I think in his specific fight with Jogo, it just makes you understand how broken he is. You see, Jogo is a galactic level threat. This dude can drop meteors and wipe out cities in an instant, but he is absolutely clowned on to such an entirely insane degree that the flex that Jogo actually produces fighting this guy is incredible. Now, we all understand that Gojo, much stronger than Jogo. He beats him, that's all fine and good. Now, why would I call this specifically aura farming? Well, it's when you take a world-ending level threat, like Jogo, and you use him as a ragdoll, as an excuse to teach your student about what he's gonna be going up against. That is all sorts of levels of fucked. So, put it to this perspective. Alright, you got this world-level threat literally showing up to kill you. You're the goal here, alright? You gotta recognize, ending Gojo is the #1 objective of every single bad guy, because if this guy's dead, then the world falls apart, which is fucking crazy if you think about it. But that is basically essentially what's going on here. So you get all these guys, they come together, you got this volcano head looking ass, and he shows up, and he wants to wipe out Gojo, everything is great. Gojo's like, alright, just hold on a second. He leaves, he gets his student, the protagonist, he brings his student to a fight with a living nuclear warhead, alright? And he's like, alright, now you watch while I make an absolute wreck of this bitch. That is what's going on right now. So yes, making fun of him and humiliating him to the point that you're bringing your student to the battlefield, that's a flex. But not only does he bring the student there, not only does he open his blindfold literally to just terrify the fuck out of his opponent, not only does he trap Jogo into his infinite void, you know, domain expansion, which is all levels of busted and broken that he literally didn't even need to do. It was just to stoically say, I am using 1% of my power, and even that is overkill. He will just smile at his opponent as he tears his body from his face. He will tear his face off his body, okay? Smiling, casually, using it as a learning experience to teach his student the absolute undeniable art of aura farming, and this will forever remain in my psyche as one of the craziest anime fights, even though it was the essential similarity to a fight between, let's say, Frodo the Hobbit versus an entire fleet of space marines from Warhammer 40k. Like, that's the power level difference of fucked level that we are dealing with here. And he smiles casually, confidently, and just brings his student to watch the fireworks the entire time. The absolute essence of aura farming, and I will take no further questions, thank you. Next farmer. So, I wanted to do, this is the final farmer, the first episode of the biggest aura farmers in anime. I wanted to talk about this guy immensely, because in my opinion, this guy's the biggest aura farmer in all of anime. I wanted to make sure to include him in the first episode in case we don't hit the like goal for the future episodes of the internet's next favorite show, the biggest aura farmers in anime. We gotta talk about Sid Kageno from the Eminence in Shadow. This is a show that kind of went under the radar for a lot of people. A lot of people never watched it, didn't know what it was all about. It won all 7 swing states. People don't realize exactly the levels of aura farming we're dealing with specifically when it comes to the Eminence in Shadow. This is definitely a power fantasy anime. I'm not going to try to label it as anything else that's not exactly that, but that doesn't at all minimize how insanely badass it actually is. Sid Kageno is your classic isekai protagonist. He wants to be a badass superhero Batman-like motherfucker, and he literally plans his own death to get hit by a truck to get himself transported to another world where he could aura farm. That is literally the goal. He will enter fights with people purely to aura farm. That is the goal. He invents secret, demonic, ritualistic gigacults that are threatening the downfall of a political society. He will make them up to make it more badass for himself, and every time he'll invent these things, it turns out he was just right all along, and there was this secret demonic demon cult trying to take down an entire fucking political movement. So instead of warning them like a normal fucking person, he decides to just become Superman-Batman combination. He's this ultimate shadow lord, saving random helpless women, creating an army of super soldier women that he saved that are all in love with him. Creating the organization Shadow Garden as the secret shadow organization there to save the world with vigilante justice. And the crazy thing is, he actually does do this exact thing. He succeeds completely. Now, I made an entire video over analyzing specifically Sid Kageno, why he's the GOAT. It's like an hour-long video. You could look it up. But talking from a perspective of aura farming, I don't think you recognize that nothing at all comes close to this man's level of aura. When I was talking about Gojo entering fights that, like, they weren't even close at all, this is the kind of fight that Sid Kageno will enter. You'll have an entire arc. It'll be like a 4 or 5 episode arc building up different factions, how they're all super dangerous, and Sid Kageno will walk in and annihilate them in the most spectacular way possible, to the point that literally everyone in the world knows how powerful and badass this secret shadow guy actually is. He acts like an NPC so that could be his, identity that people think of him as, but his secret identity is the shadow guy, because that is cooler than just being a shadow guy. The reason why he has a secret identity is because it's cool to have a secret identity, and there is no other reason than that. The plot will come up with ways to make the things he does more badass every single time. Now, to recognize what I mean by aura farming, I'll give you one example to put it all to rest. Because it's not just the cool poses that he strikes like Piccolo, or the overwhelming force that he has like Gojo, or the making believe he's just an E-rank little loser hunter like Jin Woo. He is all of these things combined and so much more. You have to recognize, there is a Beethoven song called the Moonlight Sonata. Great song. Fantastic music. Beethoven did a wonder, all right? Man was a legend, all right? Beethoven was one of the biggest aura farmers in all of music. All right, let's be honest. Dude was the GOAT. In middle of a fight, Sid Kageno, the Eminence in Shadow, will leave the battle. He will steal a grand piano. He will bring the grand piano to the place that he is fighting. He will then defeat his opponent. They will cheer his name, and he will play the Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven on the grand piano at the same time as the final blow against the enemy takes place, just because he thinks it's more badass. If that's not the most aura farming shit you've ever heard in your entire life, you are literally lying to yourself and to me, okay? He is the biggest aura farmer in anime. It does not even come close. Maybe I'll find someone more aura farmy than him in the next one, but as it stands right now, there is no one that comes even remotely close to the level of aura farming that Sid Kageno, the Eminence in Shadow, actually does. It is not even a competition. You don't understand. He brought in his knowledge of literature from the human world before he got isekai'd to this new world. So all of the most popular novels written in this world are stories that he has told that he remembers from the human world. Basically, all of literature that's appreciated is attributed to him. All of music is attributed to him. All of culture, all of currency, all of evolution, all of society, all of technological innovation is all attributed to him without people even knowing that he's the one who did it. He will walk past a book signing where they are signing books that are stories that he has told that they are attributing to him without them even knowing that it's him that actually told the story. From rizzing an unimaginable, unfathomable amount of bitches, he doesn't even need a lobotomized shadow corpses to get his army. He literally has an army of women that will die for him because they love him so much. He saved them all from impending doom or whatever. Every woman in his military is single-handedly more powerful than basically the most powerful generals of the enemy army. There are entire cities that worship him as a god, and he just casually, nonchalantly walks through the story and the world, no one even knowing who he is. him playing that NPC-ass looking character in the real life. His relationships, everyone thinks he's just some random dropout kind of shitty wizard dude, but in actuality, he is not only the creator of every bit of culture in the modern fantasy world that he is stuck in, but he is also in control of the most powerful organization, saving the world constantly from unending peril and doom, and he does it effortlessly, just waltzing from place to place, with everyone around him worshiping his very essence without them even knowing that he is the person that they are worshiping. This is an undeniable zenith of aura farming that no one else even comes close to. But I could be wrong. So let me know in the comment section below future aura farmers you would like me to cover in the next video. I don't want to spoil too much of Aura Farmers Part 2, but I'm just saying, if we do it, we are going to be discussing Madara Uchiha and Dio from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. The rest are up to you. So let me know in the comment section below future aura farmers you want covered on the biggest aura farmers in anime. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to glaze my favorite anime characters and turning this into a career for me. Hell yeah, dude. And I'll see you in the next one, gamers. Bye.